how to get over a married man you love. If you're in this situation, it's so painful. And I'm here to support you through that process. It's challenging to even type these things into Google or into YouTube because in the act of typing it out, there's a reality check that we're acknowledging that this is really a thing and it's a painful thing. So if this is something that you're only just searching, or if this is something that now you've been searching for a few years, then I feel for you. I am sorry that you're going through so much pain. The needing to leave or walk away from someone you're deeply attached to and have extremely fond feelings of is not easy. It's painful when you feel like, okay, I've just fallen in love for someone that I can't have. I feel like it's my right person, but the wrong time or the completely wrong lifetime because he's married. So, today we're going to be talking about really addressing a lot of the emotions that come up in having to walk away from someone that you love. There are so many emotions that come up in this process, and I feel it is so important to give eyes and presence to the emotions that you're feeling so that you can properly move through these emotions. A lot of these things that we feel, we dismiss, we deny, we say we shouldn't feel. He's married, like I got myself into this anyway, then I should just get over it. Or we simply say, well, this is the reality of the situation. Like it's clear, so it's time you just move on. And there's a dismissal of the emotions, even if it is coming from care in regards to just wanting to help yourself move through this process. There is so much strong societal beliefs around what affairs are that we do take on these beliefs, even if deep down we don't believe them. They're ingrained in our society and way of being. First, I want to talk about heartbreak. Like it is the very obvious one here, and that is that there is nothing more painful than having to leave someone that you feel like you're not done with. You have to leave them, but you don't want to leave them. It's a have to, as opposed to this is something that I'm choosing. And if it's something that you're choosing, then there can be an understanding around why you're doing this. But when it's something that is just, well, these are the cards I've been dealt, and so I do have to move on from this man, then it's so painful. It's so painful. It's like there's unfinished business, and yet I have to cut the ties now. The next one is grief. I want to talk about grief from the point of when you cut ties with a married man, he's occupied. You can't continue maintaining a relationship. And maybe some of you do want to maintain friends, but there's an element of feeling like you're going through the death or loss of someone. This is someone you deeply love, and then there is a complete ending to it. And so a lot of the grief does feel like a death. And for a lot of you in this situation, you do actually have no photos left of him, or you never took any photos because you felt unsafe having photos with him. And so there's just no evidence of him or having access to him. Maybe you've removed yourself from all social media channels, and maybe you don't have any of his stuff, all of these things. It feels like, was this a figment of my imagination? Did this ever really happen? I can't feel him. I can't touch him. I can't see him. I can't smell him. So then, whatever was this? There's a significant feeling like you're going through a death of losing someone. And if we look at it from that piece, this is not light. This is really challenging to have to move through grief. To add to this, you're going through this grief in silence. You don't have him. He's not here. You also don't have the support of family, friends to really lean on and cry on when you're going through such significant grief. And if you do have the support of your family or friends, there's a part of you that probably is holding back the extent of what you're feeling because there comes a time when you're like, okay, well, okay, they are now thinking that I've just got to get over this. And so you hold back the true amount of emotions that you're feeling. The next one is betrayal. If you were hoping that he would leave his wife for you, you haven't been chosen in this. And so there can be a feeling of you being betrayed in this as well. And this feeling is true. You two were betrayed in this because he was investing in you. He was also investing in another relationship. And ultimately, if you have chosen to part ways, then he is choosing someone over you. And although this may have not been the energy in which you parted ways, still the dynamic or the picture of how things have played out is that he is not with you and he is with someone else. So in that lies this feeling or this actual experience of betrayal. The next one is deep shame. This situation is so shaming. We judge ourselves. We feel like, how could I possibly have such a low self-worth to get into this? Or I like don't have a low self-worth. So why am I getting into this? And how did I end up putting myself in the category of those women? And there is so much judgment and shame around, also shame around the choice of violating your morals and values of something that is so damn obvious. It's like, I knew you may have known or you may have not known, but if you did know, I knew I was getting into this. I knew he was married. So how could I, like, I could see everything. So how did I still slip up into such a situation? And there's also this feeling of like, okay, he's not, now that I'm moving away from this man, will any man ever love me for what I've gone through? Will I keep this a secret forever? And then I feel like I'm betraying the man that I'm going to be with him not knowing fully who I am as a person. And so there's this shame in, I'm dirty. I'm someone that shouldn't be trusted. How could I possibly go through this situation? These feelings are so damaging. They're uncomfortable to feel, and you absolutely deserve to move through this feeling of shame so it no longer has like chains wrapped around you. The next one is guilt, comes closely with shame, and that is this feeling of I've impacted another person's life. I've come into their family. I have selfishly engaged in this, and just this feeling of guilt for having an impact. There are a lot of you where the wife has found out, and so just feeling guilty for how she also has had to carry the weight of this. And also for him, maybe he's opened his heart to you, and then it cannot go anywhere, and so feeling guilty about the impact that it's had on him as well, and the children and everyone that has been involved in this. Guilt is a significant emotion that comes in these experiences. Loneliness is a big one. Your affair partner often was your number one person. You're the person you always went to for anything, the person that you'd call on to talk to and all of that. And then when you're ending this with your affair partner and no one knows what you're going through, then you're left isolated. And this loneliness experience is significant. While you're going through this, make sure that you don't isolate yourself. Get the support you need, feel connected, find safe people to be able to confide in so that you aren't going through the weight of this experience alone. The next one is anger and frustration. Now, this can feel debilitating and it can feel like a rush of emotion. Or alternatively, you might feel like you can't connect to any of that. And in the community, we actually support you in being able to feel a lot of these feelings that you may be disconnected from, because there is a part of anger that connects you to your strength. It connects you to where you have stepped away from your own alignment, and then we can bring you back on. The feeling of anger is also feeling like you've given your all in this, you've invested so much emotionally, and then you've just been left disappointed. And so it may be anger and frustration towards your affair partner, and it can also be towards yourself. A lot of you in these affair relationships have been held up in these affair relationships for years. And so there is a lot of your life that you've given, and then at the end of the day, you feel like there's no returns. You've just given away a massive portion of your life. And in that, it's so valid that you feel angry, frustrated, upset towards either your affair partner. You can also feel it towards friends or family for not like waking you up or lifting you out of this, or checking in on you. Or you can also feel it towards yourself in regards to you saw the signs and yet you kept investing in it, hoping that it would go somewhere. Or maybe he also kept telling you that it would go somewhere and you were holding on to that hope and then it never did. And this comes back to this feeling of betrayal. In that feeling, you feel betrayed. The next one is confusion. After you've invested so much in this, then it leaves you just off center. You don't know who you are. You've completely lost your self identity and you feel stripped bare and you just really don't know which way is up, how to make the right decisions, how to move through all of these emotions, how to move through all of this, how to communicate to him. Do you not communicate to them? Like all of this stuff, it just feels overwhelming. One of the things I didn't list in this is overwhelm. This is where you are processing so much and holding so much. And it's just, I don't know if you feel, but you feel like this, like, oh, I have so much emotion and I feel so trapped in this emotion and I don't know how to get it out of my body so that you can be free. This is a significant emotion and this is just be like it validates how much you're really holding in this. The next one is insecurity. When you're dating a married man, his focus is not fully, or his devotion is not fully on you as much as maybe he wanted to put it there, or maybe he didn't. It leaves you with a lot of insecurity and what like challenges with your feeling of self-worth. At the end of the day, this did not work out. And so you feel so cut low. And you may feel at this point, will I ever regain my sense of self-worth and confidence? And I can absolutely say you will. We can absolutely get you there. And although it feels fully depleted or lost in this moment, it's not something that will have to stay with you forever. You can rise through this, but absolutely in this time of feeling like you've just lost someone that you love so dearly, that is then just going back to a relationship with his partner, it really knocks your self-worth. And the last one is withdrawal symptoms. It's this craving and this desire for him when you can't have him. You may have tried to end this and you keep going back, and these withdrawal symptoms are real. So many women in this situation express this feeling of feeling like it's an addiction. I can't cut it. I can't cut it. I try to break it off and then I keep going back. And then when I do break it off, I feel like I just can't get over him. And for some of you, it may feel like you've tried to get over him for years and you can't. Or maybe you're on like day two and you just feel overcome by the significance or the weight of just needing to pick up the phone and text him. This feeling is significant. If you are going through these feelings or you have broken it up before and you feel these feelings of strong withdrawal cravings, I do recommend joining our membership community. This way, you have support from other women who are going through this process. And instead of picking up the phone to talk to him, you can pick up your phone and talk to us and connect with us and fill that void to a degree of connection, understanding, being held, being supported, being seen, as opposed to being there alone and isolated and wanting to pick up the phone to connect to him. It's so fundamental that in this process you have support. So if you do want to join the community, or I offer one-to-one support, I do highly recommend that for your own transformation through this process. Otherwise, if you have someone that can really hold you in a safe way, I do recommend you opening up to them so that they can hold you through this. That feels often daunting, uh, but I highly recommend it. I don't recommend it if it doesn't feel 100% safe. And so if you're feeling that fear of being held, then absolutely come join us in the community and we'll hold you there. I hope that helps. Bye for now.